This the audience, any student, right? No.
Yeah, the career fair is for all students, but yes, we'll want to make sure we're including the military piece. She said it looks great, you sound great, save it on the cloud. Perfect. Okay. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and get started. So we are with Geico, and we are here to prepare the Regent students for the career fair, which is coming up. So a little bit about ourselves. My name is Erin Gaines, and I'm the college recruiter here with Geico. A little bit about my Geico story is I actually started with Geico when I first graduated my bachelor's degree in our management development program. It's an awesome program where it fast tracks you to become a supervisor. So I went through that program for about 2 years, got a lot of coaching and training and support, and I became a supervisor in the motorcycle service division. I spent a couple months supervising and really getting to be there for my associates and getting to experience management, and then an opportunity opened up in human resources. And so now that is what I do. I actually get to go to colleges and help students just like yourselves prepare for career fairs and get jobs, hopefully with us with Geico, but really just preparing the next generation of business leaders to come into the workforce. So that's what I do. And I also have Steve here with us. Can you introduce yourself, Steve?
Yeah, hi, I'm Steve Ludwig. I came to Geico out of a 28-year military career, and I went into a management program as well. I've done multiple jobs in the company, including manager of one of the call centers, the service center. Then from there, a business analyst, and now I'm the military representative in North Carolina.
And then my name is Jonah Bryant. I actually graduated from Regent in May 2016. I also commissioned in the United States Army as a chaplain candidate at that time. And my Geico career basically started in July of that same year. I came in as a new hire in their management development program, currently in the service side. So what I do right now is I'm actually on one of the rotations where I monitor different calls coming in and provide feedback on how to improve on those.
Awesome. So we are all here really to help you guys and get you guys set up for what's going to be eventually your business career. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to cover keys to a successful career fair and how to be successful with the career fair coming up. We're also going to cover your resume, what the resume should look like, what it should include, how to create a resume that recruiters are going to want to look at, how to really incorporate your military experience. For our military students, they have a lot of background in such a broad array of their military career. We're going to talk a little bit about how to put that on paper and how to make that applicable to the business world. Also talk about a career fair strategy, how to approach the career fair as that's coming up. Also your introduction and your handshake, which is incredibly important, and also the opportunities that we have here with Geico. And we'll also leave some time for any questions and answers that we might get from you guys. So to get us started, the keys to really having a successful career fair start with professionalism. Really approaching the career fair not as just something that you're going to drop into on campus, but as an event that you're really going to, that you're preparing for and that you're coming to with a purpose. That starts really with appropriate attire. That may be something that you didn't really think too much of, but the career fair is your first opportunity to meet an employer, and so this should be your best first impression, making sure that you're coming to the career fair well-dressed, dressed to impress, whatever that may look like for you. Still putting your personality in there, but coming professionally dressed, not like you just rolled out of bed or came from the cafeteria. But really putting that effort into it speaks to employers to let you know that you're serious about a career and that you really looked forward to coming to this career fair and how to plan. Also, we're going to talk about resumes, because that is key to a successful career fair experience. We, as recruiters, really look at your resume. That is our piece of paper that tells us all about who you are, what you've done, and what you can do for our company. We're also talking about handshakes. Handshakes are so important to having a successful career fair experience, because as a recruiter, I can't tell you guys how many times I get the dead fish handshake. And that, as silly as it sounds, is my first impression of a candidate, whether or not they have a strong leadership disposition, really comes from the handshake that you have. Also coming to the career fair with a positive attitude, looking engaged, looking like you want to be there. Also having good communication skills, being able to be concise, but also explain who you are, what you're doing, your accomplishments, and being able to communicate properly with recruiters. And the biggest and most important thing for a successful career fair is preparation. So if you're listening to this, this webcast, or you're listening to it in the future, this is the first step in really preparing yourself for a career fair, is taking that step to get some advice and get some ideas of how you do that. So our next piece is, what do we put on our resume? So this is a huge part of your career fair, and resumes can be really intimidating. So we're going to talk through what a resume should look like and how to make a good one for yourself. So Jonah, you want to tell us about that?
There's a lot of different things you should be putting on your resume. We've included the bare essentials here. Now, first and foremost, your contact information. The employer is supposed to get in touch with you somehow after they've been impressed with your attire, your firm handshake, and how energetic you are in the career fair. So phone number, your address, your email. Another thing most people don't think about is your LinkedIn information. That's a professional social networking site that allows them to get in and say, who's this person connected to? What kind of connections have they made, and in what realm have they been made in? Now, another thing is the objective. Different companies list this different ways. It's basically the mission statement. Find out what the objective or the mission statement of the company is, and try to tailor it to the company that you, or to the mission statement you have on your resume. So, or if the company's mission, such as Regent's, to create Christian leaders to change the world, you want something on your resume that says, I'm going to be a part of that mission, or I'm going to be beneficial to that mission. Education. This is a huge piece, especially we're at Regent. We probably want to put that on our resume. So you want to talk about any degrees that you have already earned, the degree you got, or the process that you're in right now, the expected date of your graduation. Now, your GPA, if it's above a 3.0, you really want to try to have a high GPA. If it's above 3.0, you deserve to be recognized for that. So put that on your resume. Especially any honors that you've been in, honors programs, or any honors awards that you've gotten, Dean's List. And then under that, you would want to put your work and professional experience. Now, a lot of people have bullet points for how they list their work and professional experience, but honestly, you want to make sure that you have it in order. Best way to do this is by putting your most recent experience on top. Not only does this give the employer a snapshot of who you are right now, and as they read further down, they can read into your past. This also helps you in the future because your resume is a document that's constantly getting updated. So it's easier for you to update by just going to the top part of your work and experience and just add something on the top. Now, aside from that, you also want to include activities and volunteer experience. Different companies have different requirements. Some actually encourage and require that you have had volunteer experience or that you've done certain activities, or it really helps to put that on there. Certifications, things like that. So student organizations that you've been a part of, like my wife, she's in law school right now. On her resume, she had that she was part of the moot court team. So that's student organization leadership positions. If you've been a part of any organizations, even especially for those of you in the military, list your military experience if you've been a leader in that. Explain a little bit what it is. If you say that you are a captain of a ship, that's great, but lead a little bit more into what that involves. Your volunteer work, if you volunteer for YMCA or Habitat for Humanity, list that as well. We want to make sure that we're recognizing you for everything that you've done, and that your resume is a perfect fingerprint or a signature of who you are. Now, one last thing, you don't really need to include references. This is a big piece because a lot of people will include references because they think it's the standard. A lot of times, yes, employers do require references. You want to make sure that you're looking to see if they do or if they don't, because references can be so broad into what an employer is looking for. If they need it, they're going to ask for it. So if they don't ask for it, don't put it on your resume. You have more space to fill out other great things about you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonah. So that's what we would want to put on our resume and really the meat of our resume. But to talk a little bit more about the formatting, you really want to use a font that's clear and easy to read, usually in about 10 to 12 size font, using bold and italics to underline or make important information stand out. So usually bolding or underlining the actual name of the organization that you've worked for, or the workplace that you're at, and then underneath it putting things in bullets like Jonah talked about what you did at that job. Now, we talked about a lot of things that you want to put on your resume, but one of the most important pieces is making sure that you keep that resume linked to just one page. So it's totally okay to use narrow margins and to make the font, up to, or down to, I would say, 10-point font. You still want people to be able to read it. So really being concise and tailored as to what you're actually putting on your resume is important, because we only really want to see one page. As a recruiter myself, I see hundreds of resumes at a career fair, and I need that one page to speak to me and to stand out. When it comes to information that's on the back, I probably won't get a chance to flip over. So make sure that all of the information that you want to stand out is all on one page. Grammar is incredibly important. Again, this is your first impression, not only the career fair, but then when I go back and look at the resume, it's reminding me of who you are. So make sure that your resume is clear of any spelling mistakes, grammatical errors. It's always good to triple check. Even when spell check does it for you, go back over and make sure that it all makes sense. And then bullet points, like we talked about, being concise. So this doesn't need to be a whole biography of your life. So you would want to make this short and sweet, making sure that those bullet points stand out with action verbs and really what are you doing at that job. If I want to know more, I'm going to be able to get a taste of what you've done and then ask you more about it. When it comes to graphics also, I would say try and stay away from pictures and distracting graphics that are on your resume. Some people advise you to put pictures of yourself on your resume, but in the age that we're in, that's truly what LinkedIn is for. I can go to your LinkedIn and see a little bit more about you and more of a profile of who you are, but your resume, to keep it as professional as possible. It is okay to have a good header. You can have some muted colors on there. You don't want a highlighter, neon resume, but it's good to have something that stands out. It's okay to add a little bit of personal flair to your name or the top of your resume, but make sure the rest of it is easy and clear to read. So kind of continuing on that same idea, your resume is really your table of contents. So to a recruiter, like I said, we read hundreds of resumes every single day. So I need this to be a snapshot to tell me enough about yourself that I'm still interested in getting to know more. So the important information, like Jonah said, needs to be on the top, and utilizing power verbs is so important. So what that means is, say you worked for a volunteer organization. The bullet points that are right underneath that volunteer organization need to start with some sort of verb. You've planned, you've managed, you've been a part of something, but we really need to know, what are those things that you did? Because as a recruiter, I know what jobs I'm offering. So as a management development program candidate, I'm looking for someone who can organize a team, who's planned events previously, who's led, who's inspired, who's really managed. So any words that you can see in an employer's description of their job is even something good to go back and put and use the same power verbs that they have on their description and put those into your resume. Because as a recruiter, I'm going to scan down the left side of your resume and take a look at those power verbs to see if anything's matching up to what I have to offer. And those are the moments that I'm actually going to read that full sentence once I get caught by those power verbs. The most important thing that you want to do too is quantify your success. So just like we talked about, your resume is a number, your GPA is a number that jumps off of your resume to us to show, a recruiter how hard you've worked in school. Definitely put those numbers on your resume. If you have, been part of an organization that raised money, tell me how much money you raised. Tell me about the organization's event that you had 1,500 people in attendance. Talk more to the numbers, because those are those things that jump off the page, and then keep it concise. So we can talk more about the details of how you got those 400 people at the event, but if you've managed, a team of 40, if you've managed a team of 3, those are the things that we want to know about. Also, highlighting your awards, like Jonah mentioned, this is your opportunity to brag about yourself. We want to know about the great things that you've done. This is really your chance to market yourself. So if you had one piece of paper to show an employer, exactly who you are, this would be that piece of paper. So these are important key things to keep in mind when you're writing a resume. We also know that as military students, you guys have different things that you have done in the past with your military service. So just talk a little bit about how to tailor that. Steve is going to take it from here.
Chances are, if you're military, you've had multiple primary and collateral duties throughout your career. And it's really important to be able to translate those for the people reading your resume. Most people reading resumes are not going to have military experience and they won't be familiar with military acronyms or jargon. And then think of how those applications apply. If you were a recruiter, you were actually heavily involved in sales. If you were a recruiter of the year, you were the best person in that sales program for that year. If you were a career counselor, that involved customer service. It involves a lot of administrative work. It also involves sales to a certain extent because you're trying to get people to remain within the military. And then lead on tasks, timelines, and budgets would be a project management. A lot of the more senior military get major projects assigned to them besides what their normal duties are. And you want to highlight the budget costs of those, how many people you had in your team working on that, specifically what the goals were and how well you achieved them and if you achieved them early. I like preparing different sections of a master resume file. When I was in the military, what I did is I took my experience and I categorized it into certain areas. I had an area for program managers. I had an area for instructor. I had different areas for leadership and for personnel. And then when I would go over what companies were looking for in a specific job, I'd be able to cut and paste those areas into my resume and into an order on my resume that would appeal most of those companies to those companies. It sounds like a lot of work, but it really does save time in the long run, and it gives you the best look possible. Pay attention to keywords when you're reading job posts and start adapting those sections of your military resume around those keywords that you see in job. So that helps you fine tune it. You always want to be fine tuning your resume as you're going along. Security clearances cost a lot of money. I know when I was looking for work after I came out of the military, I had a few people that offered me a job based solely on my security clearance and were willing to teach me whatever I needed to know afterwards because I had clearance. So these are some of the things you want to be thinking about when you're preparing military resumes. The last thing is, prior to this discussion here today, I was able to visit your military center. These are the people that are going to be your go-to when you're having trouble really understanding how your military job translates and how to speak to civilian recruiters versus military personnel. So I highly recommend any military listening to this, go to that military center. It's really an amazing facility.
And don't forget, when you're getting everything set up, please go through this list again because you want to make sure everything is set up for your success. First and foremost, proofread your resume. We said it before, but you want to make sure this is the only opportunity that you have to make a lasting impact on this company. So you want to make sure it's free of any errors, and you can also have someone else read it. I had many people read my resume when I applied to Geico. They gave me a lot of great feedback, and it's good to get it from different perspectives. One really cool thing that you can do, and it's really easy to do as well, read your resume backwards. You're going to catch a lot of spelling errors, and you're going to catch more than what you would have had you not. But you want to, again, tailor your resume. You want to make sure that you're actually tailoring it to the position you're applying for. So if I'm going to be applying for a customer service manager, I'm not going to be pushing how many sales I made or anything that doesn't have to do with customer service because it won't help my resume out. That you have a limited space, you need to utilize it as best you can. Another thing, if you actually include the company name in the resume, you want to make sure you've got the right company. If you're applying to Geico, but your resume says, I can't wait to start at State Farm, we're going to have an interesting conversation. On that though, you want to make sure you keep it professional. No slang words, just keep it as professional as you can. Use intelligent words. Try to be, you want to put yourself off as the most intellectual person out there. And you want to be concise and honest. These two kind of tie in together. You want to keep it intellectual, but you don't want to have giant words that take up an entire line. Be concise, to the point, and be honest. Don't try to say something that you're not, because odds are it's going to come out either in the interview process or you're going to get to the job and you're going to go, man, this isn't for me. And that could have been solved a long time ago. Keep your resume updated. This is a big one. I struggled this until I started applying to many jobs. The more you keep your resume updated, the easier it is to apply to jobs, and then you get to catch more of those errors. If I scan them at least once a month, go through your resume if you haven't found a long-lasting career job yet and say, what can I update? What did I do in the last month that I can add to this resume? What have I done? Have people look at your resume constantly. The university has many resources that will help you out with your resume as well. And then, again, the Career Center. It's the perfect place to go. Bring your resume there. Do mock interviews there. Ask as many questions as you can about interviewing and the whole process, because the more prepared you're going into a career fair, the more you're going to stand out. It's going to be obvious who didn't prepare, who didn't take the time to get everything right. Those people are going to have spelling errors on their resume. They're not going to be confident in those interview questions that they get asked, or if they get asked any questions at all, it's going to be obvious who has rehearsed them and who hasn't. For those military people, you train as you fight. So I'm going to conduct as many rehearsals as I can to make sure that when I go to that interview, it's 100% perfect and it's 100% me, and I have no worries about that.
Hey, know which companies are going to be there. You need to do some pre-work for a career fair. You need to know who's going to be there, who's hiring, and then which companies you're most interested in. It's like pre-planning. It's the same thing. You practice how you fight. Create your A-list. One factor that can affect you at a career fair is stress. And if you create an A-list of the companies that you want to talk to, the ones that you really want to work for, and you make sure you hit those first, there's going to be less stress during that whole career fair opportunity. Know what they're hiring for, so you can tailor those resumes and your discussions around them. Do some research, know their mission, know their vision, get some information on the history of the company. You can research very easily through Google, the business sites that are on the computer, and talk to that A-list first. Then create a B-list. These are the companies that you're going to want to go to next once the A-list is checked off. Don't be distracted by all the neat stuff on the tables that companies are giving away to have you come by, because a 15-minute discussion at a company that you have no intention of working for has just wasted a lot of your time at that career fair. If you have time, talk to other companies. It's great practice, if nothing else. Submit online applications after the fair, and remember to thank people that were able to help.
So with that in mind, that we now have a strategy of how we're going to take on the career fair. You also have your resumes in hand that are all updated with all of the great accomplishments that you've done in the last few years. Now we want to talk about your 30-second introduction. So when you come up and you meet a recruiter at a career fair, that's really your opportunity right then. They'll usually ask you to tell them about yourself. So that's your opportunity to really hook them in to want to know more about you. So this should be concise, and you really want to practice this beforehand. Your introduction is so important because it's your real first impression along with your handshake and your attire. This is usually happening before you hand over your resume. So it's really giving that recruiter that boost of whether or not they're going to take a long, hard look at this resume or whether you may just be an average candidate. So make yourself above average by practicing this 30-second introduction. That could be at the Career Center, coming over to the Military Center over here in the Chapel Building, and then also practicing it with your friends. Just before you go to the career fair, it's good to run it through a couple more times. So this 30-second introduction should include your name. That's pretty important. The first thing we want to know is what your name is, and then be sure to include what year you're in, whether you're a senior or junior, and your major. Because we want to know immediately what kind of route you're looking to take, because as a recruiter, I'm trying to figure out, based off of your introduction, what kind of jobs I have available for you. So then you should specify whether you're looking for a full-time position or if you're looking for an internship, again, so that the recruiter can get their wheels turning about what they're going to be able to talk to you about. And then give them a little bit about yourself. This is so important because you want to remain concise, but you also want to give things that are going to hook the recruiter in. So that includes telling them about what you're doing, what you're studying right now in school, how you plan to use that, maybe a few things about some quick hits about internships that you've done or success that you've had so far in your major. And then also the jobs that you're looking for. Like Steve just talked about, you should know what companies you're looking to talk to at the career fair, and you should know what kind of jobs they are offering and really what job you're looking for. One of the worst things to tell a recruiter is, as a senior, you're really not sure what you want to do, so tell me more about your jobs. That may seem like a broad way to get more information, but we really want to know that you have a focus, because it's so much better for me to hire a candidate that has some sort of focus that speaks to a lot of what you've been doing here at this school, and that you at least have some sort of plan in place for what you want to do after graduation. And showing the recruiters that you've done your research, knowing about the companies that you're going to talk to, and knowing a little bit about their business and the jobs that they're offering are both good things. So right here on the page, we do have an sample introduction. And these, you could really take word for word and start swapping out the things that you have. So hello, my name is Erin. I'm a graduating senior here at Regent University. I'm graduating in May, double majoring in finance and accounting with an MIS minor. And this is where you introduce a little bit about what you have done. I've had a finance internship at ABC Company this summer, where I analyzed financial statements, created a new reporting database, and learned a lot about corporate investing. I'm very interested in X, Y, and Z Company's leadership program. Could you please tell me more about it? That's one of the most important things, is to know what you're looking for so the recruiter can get you the information that's most beneficial to you. So with that being said, yes.
What kind of things should they not talk about in their 30-second introduction?
Sure. So some of the things that you should not talk about in your 30-second introduction, a great question. The biggest part about this is a quick hit. This is the initial introduction, so it doesn't need to be a laundry list of your resume. You just worked really hard to get this wonderful resume. You're about to put it in the recruiter's hands, so you don't need to laundry list. You don't need to go through, I am a finance major, but I also used to be, a divinity student. Then I changed my mind, and I was also communication. So I've got a broad background, but now I'm finally graduating with these majors. So you don't need to laundry list backwards of, everything about your entire school career, and really showing that you're focused. I've had students do that for me, tell me everything they used to do, but also what they're doing right now. So keeping it concise is a huge thing, because this, again, is an elevator speech. If you had, 30 seconds to a minute to explain to somebody who you are, what you've done, and what you can do for their company, that's what you want to think of this as. If you just had 30 seconds in the elevator with the CEO of the company, what would you want to tell them? Do you guys have anything else you would add to your introduction?
You want to make sure that you're keeping personal. There are some personal things that can be beneficial, but there's some that are not. If I'm trying to apply for Geico in my 30-second interview, I say I'm also married and I have a dog, and he's a Doberman and he likes to go on long walks on the beach. That's not going to be beneficial. However, if I'm looking to apply for a job at a vet or at a pet store, they might want to know, hey, I'm actually a dog owner. So you want to find out a little bit about what the company's looking for and see if you have anything that you can match into that. But just like Erin said, try to consolidate as much of your resume as you can into that 30-second statement.
And the lesson I'd add to that goes back to your pre-work for the career fair and knowing who you're introducing yourself to. You don't want to tell somebody that you're very interested in jobs that have to do with finance and they're hiring for sales. So you can tell that introduction a little bit specifically again to the company, just like you tell the rest.
Great. So everything that we've gone over, so your career fair prep in a nutshell, really is to update and tailor that resume. Make sure that you guys are keeping, like Steve said, just a really an awesome file that has everything that you've been doing, and be able to update and tailor as you go along. So if you have multiple companies that you want to speak to at the career fair, and say you do have a broad major like finance, and that could go into a bunch of different avenues for jobs, bring a couple of copies of your resume. So bring one that's tailored to Geico, bring another resume that may be tailored to a finance company that you want to go into, because you can utilize your skills in a bunch of different careers. So bringing multiple copies of your resume is also a great tip, so that you have that tailored resume with you. So bringing copies of your resume, please dress professionally. We talked about that in the beginning. You don't want to look like you just, rolled out of bed, or you're just happen to be passing through on your way to the student center, just grabbed a cup of coffee. I'm going to bring that in with me. Want to make sure that you look prepared for this because it is your first impression. It's better to make a different first impression than to come to the career fair unprepared. Make sure that you're researching those companies ahead of time. This speaks volumes to a recruiter like myself to know that a student took the time out and that they're really truly interested in Geico and that they did their research and we didn't just catch their attention with a giant green gecko. So having that career fair strategy at the career fair will also give you a map that's going to have the location of all the employers inside of the career fair. So you'll have your strategy coming in, and then once they hand you your registration packet, you can kind of map out which ones you should go to first and which ones you want to make sure that you have time for, and hit those, just like a roadmap, hit those ones that you are most interested in first. So practicing your handshake. Again, you don't want any dead fish. You already look great, you've got a great resume, so we don't want to ruin it with a bad handshake. And then rehearsing that short personal introduction right before you come in, just making sure that, relax. The career fair is filled with other humans who are, not perfect, but we do want to know about you. So relax and know who you are, know what you want to say, and rehearse that personal introduction when you come in and meet with a recruiter. Also, a huge tip, just like tests, this is, the test of the job that you're hopefully going to have, get some rest the night before. Really make sure that you're preparing for that career fair. You've got everything all laid out, your clothes the night before, know what you want to do when you get there, and just take the stress out of it by getting a good night's sleep. So that is our career fair prep in a nutshell. The last thing that we do want to share with you guys, because we are preparing you for the career fair in general, but we are a little bit biased. We do hope that you will take some interest in coming to seek a career here with us at Geico. So to know a little bit about Geico, so we are a wholly owned subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway. So we are owned by Warren Buffett, who is an awesome leader in the business world. We are very proud to be a company owned by Warren Buffett, and it comes with a lot of great perks like financial stability. We are the second largest private passenger auto insurer in the United States, and we are growing, so we hope to take that #1 spot eventually. And we have been the fastest growing auto insurer for the last 12 years, and that's something that we are incredibly proud of when that means fast growing as far as our business goes, which means that we're continuously hiring good people to come and be a part of that growth with us. So we do employ over 36,000 associates in all of our many locations around the United States. We do have an office here in Virginia Beach that has over 3,000 associates, but we also have offices in great places like Florida. We've got some in Texas. We've got Buffalo, New York. We've got, the West Coast. Anywhere that you want to go, you could probably find a Geico there. And one of the best things about our company is we are a meritocracy. So if you work hard, you will be rewarded for the work that you do. So there's not all of that politics that can come with that mindset of, oh no, it's corporate America. Really with Geico, if you work hard and you want to go be successful, you have all the tools available to you. And as long as your performance is there, you'll be rewarded for that and have the ability to move up. We had over 11,700 associates get promoted last year in 2016. So like I said, there really is mobility here in this company. We'd love to have, Regent grads come be a part of that. So we do offer, like I said, the 16 major offices countrywide. And so all of that together means that we have tons and tons of opportunity for students like yourselves. And we would love to have you guys come join us. We do have a couple of different options, especially for those who are military. You guys have already been in an organization that breeds leadership. And that's really what Geico is looking for, is leadership. We do look for students that have a bachelor's degree, prior leadership experience to come and join our management development program. You have to have at least a 3.0, prior leadership experience, and have been graduated. We do hire our seniors up to a year out, so if you're graduating in May, definitely apply. And that is a program that really takes what you've learned here at Regent and all of the core business classes that you've learned, and it's going to put those to work. Inside of our business, we'll teach you everything you need to know about insurance. We get you licensed. We really take our training seriously because we know that you have a lot to offer. And if you didn't have corporate experience beforehand, that's okay. That's what these programs are designed to do, is take people with a bachelor's degree, prior leadership experience. That military leadership experience is so applicable because then you come into our company and we'll just couple that with our training and make you a successful supervisor. If you have above a 3.5 GPA, you can actually join our Emerging Leaders program, which is a fast track to become a manager. It's a 3-year program that takes you through becoming an agent, becoming a supervisor, and then onto a manager level. And then for all of our juniors out there, we have a great operations internship, especially here in the Virginia Beach office. We're currently hiring for summer 2017. So if you're a junior in a business-related major and you're looking to get that experience inside of a company where you can really learn all sides, sales, service, see our claims department, our human resources, you'd actually get to work on projects inside of those departments, work alongside our managers, our supervisors, meet our directors and be mentored by them as well. So we're really looking to raise up the business leaders of the future, and we'd love to have you come be a part of Geico.
You hire more than just business.
We do. So we hire pretty much any major with that great resume that you've created. I know that you can tailor it to tell me what you've done and how it would be applicable to managing associates and being in one of those programs. But we hire any major. The internship is the only thing that is exclusive to business-related majors. So that can be business management, finance, accounting, pretty much any broad range of business for the internship. But other than that, we hire everything. I personally have a psychology and communications degree, and I was a part of the management development program, and I tailored my resume so that they knew exactly how I could manage people with that kind of experience and that kind of degree.
And one of my colleagues right now in the management development program, he's an English major. Your major can be just about anything. We want to know how you're going to use it and how good you are as a leader.
Yeah. So
if you don't have a business major, it's not the end of the world. I'm just kidding. Business majors are the best.
Alright. So now, like I talked about, all those opportunities with Geico are available on geico.jobs. You can get more information about any of the opportunities that we talked about today, and you can also apply directly online at geico.jobs. I'm Erin Gaines, and that's my contact information. If you guys do have any other questions, along with my colleague Brian, we're both the college recruiters, so we specialize, in helping college students like yourself become part of Geico. So if you guys have any questions at all, you can absolutely reach out to us, and we will also be at the career fair, which is coming up next Tuesday.